Mm. Trump's critics worry he will target them for retribution. Trump has talked about getting even with those he says mistreated him, but he has also suggested that his revenge will simply be his success. Washington, Olivia Toyle, a former Trump administration official who denounced him in a speech at the August Democratic Convention, at the Democratic Convention in August, was boarding a plane recently when a passenger looked at her and said, "Your days are numbered." Not wanting to escalate a bad situation, she said nothing, but the troubling encounter is emblematic of the hostility she faced as a recognizable and vocal critic of Trump. Now, with Trump returning to the White House, she is beset with newfound fears that he and his appointees or supporters could try to punish her for speaking out. "I am worried that I will be targeted by him and a lot of people in his circle," Troy said. In an interview, "They very much know who I am, and I am concerned for my family." She has plenty of company for some who ran afoul of Trump. The election results have sparked fresh worries that he may enter office looking for retribution. He's been out of power for nearly 4 years, airing grievances over how he believes he's been mistreated by law enforcement. On January 20th, he'll be sworn in with a handful of government powers at his disposal. He made no secret of who he believes has wronged him, and as president, he could upend their lives through investigations, tax audits, or court material if he chooses. Like, kind of like what you guys did to him. Fair is fair. If you're gonna play dirty, don't be upset if somebody plays dirty back. During the campaign, Trump has made different statements about whether he might target people who've upset him. What he said could be construed in different ways. He gave a speech last year, hours after he was charged with mishandling classified documents, and said that if elected, he would appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the United States of America, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family. In February, he dismissed any concerns that he might want vengeance, saying, "My revenge will be my success." He told Fox News last month in an exchange about weaponizing government against political foes, "I don't want to do that. That's a bad thing for this country. I don't want to do that. I haven't said that I would. Uh, I hadn't said that I would, but they have done it." In the same interview, he described Democrat Representative Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff, both of California, as the enemy from within. As for Jack Smith, a special prosecutor who has been investigating Trump's handling of classified documents in his attempts to overturn his 2020 election defeat, Trump said last month he should be thrown out of the country. A spokesperson for Smith declined to comment. Is that Representative or Republican? Oh, I guess it's Republican. Jim Jordan, a staunch Trump ally in Congress, I guess it could be either, said he doesn't expect any of the prosecutors to face reprisal over Trump's investigations. I don't think that think any of this. I don't think that that's going to happen because we're a party who's against political persecution, Jordan said Sunday on CNN. We're a party who's against going after your opponents using lawfare. None of this has a precise parallel in the modern era. President Richard Nixon had his enemies, but tended to rail against them in private. The main thing is the post is going to have to be damnable problems out of this one. Nixon told his aides in 1972, complaining about the Washington Post coverage, "Well, the game has to be played awfully rough." Interviews with 10 people, those who worked in the first Trump administration, lawmakers and critics among others, revealing various levels of distress. A private attorney, Mark Sade, said he has consulted with clients about how they can best protect themselves against a second Trump administration. He said he has advised some to leave the country before Trump is sworn in and live abroad until they have a clear sense on whether he is bent on retaliation. So this tells me that you've really done some illegal shady shit, because you would not be afraid, because we live in a lawful nation, you would not be afraid of reprisal, like you're going to be thrown and killed. You're either crazy and are out of touch with reality completely, or you did some real illegal shit and are trying to run away from the consequences of it. I am aware of the people who have already made such plans, they'd say. Preemptive action could take different forms. In the last term, a federal judge ruled that prison officials had taken retaliatory action towards Trump's former lawyer turned critic Michael Cohen over a book he was writing. They had transferred Cohen from home detention to prison, a move that was retaliatory in response to Cohen's desire to exercise his First Amendment rights to publish a book critical of the President Trump at the time, and was discussing the book on social media. Judge Arvin Hellerstein wrote, he ordered Cohen returned to confinement in his Manhattan apartment. Security clearances can be important to people who have moved into the private sector, and if Trump's administration were to yank them, he could deprive them of their livelihoods. Incoming Vice President J.D. Vance suggested last month that the Trump administration would pull the security clearances of 51 people with national security experience who signed a letter before the 2020 elections questioning the authenticity of the emails found on a laptop belonging to Joe Biden's son Hunter. Forgive me, guys. Vance told podcaster Joe Rogan that they still all have security clearances. I believe which is going to change when we win. Larry, not going to bother with your last name, former chief of staff at the CIA who co-signed a letter, said there are colleagues of mine on the list who have clearances because they're active members of companies and businesses inside of the intelligence community, and they will likely lose their post-government livelihoods if their clearances are pulled. It would be, in our view, absolutely unprecedented to pull people's clearances for some apparent opinions they have espoused, he added. Trump will assume office with a mandate from voters and minimal restrictions. Republicans will take control over the Senate and will be better positioned than Democrats to run the House given the election results that are still coming in, lifting a potential check on executive power. Separately, the Supreme Court ruling earlier this year imbued the president with sweeping immunity, removing a deterrent to possible retaliatory action. Because Trump is limited to one term, public opinion won't be the brake that it has been for presidents facing re-election. Though Trump has at times offered assurances that he wouldn't try to avenge the wrongs he says he suffered, some of his critics aren't convinced he means it. A Fox News host asked him last month if he would do to them what they did to him. A lot of people say that's what should happen. If you want to know the truth, Trump said. He asked if he wants to know the truth, Trump said. Asked if he would look at his political enemies back in office. Trump said no. I want to make this the most successful country in the world. That's what I want to do. Schiff's office did not respond to a request for a comment after Trump referred to him as the enemy living inside of the country. Schiff posted on social media that there is no justification for such dictatorial behavior, except dictatorial whatever ambition. Y'all know what I meant. A spokesperson for Pelosi pointed to her comments at a New York Times article before the elections in which she said that if Trump were to win, not just us, but many other people would be targeted. If anyone truly uses the criminal justice system or other aspects of the government to target their enemies, then we're nothing but a banana republic, said Representative Don Goldman, a New York Democrat who was entering office was a lead counsel in Trump's first impeachment case. Well, again, you guys literally already turned that. You changed the rules. You made it a banana republic. Don't be surprised if it bites you in the ass. That's why you got to be careful what you do to your enemy, because when they get into power, they're going to use the same methods that you used against them, because you made it acceptable now. The response you'll get from Republicans is, that's what Joe Biden did. No, sorry about that, guys. Something came up real quick. That's what Joe Biden said, and I would ask the right-thinking person to actually say, I would ask any right person to actually say that Joe Biden weaponized the Department of Justice when his own Department of Justice convicted his son. Not wanting to call attention to themselves or agonize Trump, some who have been publicly critical in the past are staying silent for now. Whoops, we fucked up. One former Trump White House official who has publicly spoken against Trump described the feeling of scared and declined to let their name be used. But yeah, because you were lying. You were counting on Harris to have a victory so you could get away with your little stunt. You believed the bullshit and drunk the Kool-Aid, and now you're afraid it's going to bite you in the ass. And I really do hope Trump is the bigger man and only go after people who actually broke the law and not to go all like super retaliatory on people, because we are a nation where free speech does need to be respected. And frankly, if you disapprove of the president, regardless of left or right, you should be able to just say, yeah, that guy's an asshole. And that should be acceptable and okay. Another ex-Trump administrative official who has publicly derided Trump said that they that while they're remaining in U.S., others are conferring with counsel or trying to figure out like what are immigration laws and policies in places they might consider going. In other words, you broke the law and you're trying to run. It's unreal. This person had it. It's unreal that in this day and age, in this country, we're having these thoughts and concerns. Now, persecution always goes both ways. It's not just Trump and his circle that frighten those who have spoken out. It's also his following. 2 days after the election, somebody wrote and replied to one of Throne's posts on X. You just can call it Twitter. You should be prepared for prison. Trump owns your pathetic ass. So that's just a supporter being a little bit maybe enthusiastic. But yeah, if you now I don't think it would maybe be prison, but let's say that she did speak hypothetically, like spoke lies, then she could be facing like what do you call it, where you lie about somebody, and it hurts their defamation. Yeah, that's what it is. And if there is a case for defamation, then yeah, he should go after her. Michael Falone, a former D.C. police officer who was attacked on January 6 and became a vocal critic of Trump since that time, called him an authoritarian earlier this year. Hours later, his 78-year-old mother was swatted, with a SWAT team showing up at her home while she was in her nightgown because of a false report. Okay, yeah, again, that's not like an acceptable thing. It's not acceptable to swat anybody. Especially going after somebody's family, like, regardless of what that person did or said, you shouldn't drag people's families into it. And that person who swatted this guy's mom's just deserves blatant jail time. Like, that's not, filing a false report is not cool. Now, Falone says he is hunkering down in his Virginia mountain area home for fear that Trump could weaponize the police. I'll die right here on my blank house, he told the Washington Post. I'm not going to be some apprentice blank military tribune being some. So again, either you're crazy or you did some illegal shit. Zaid represented a whistleblower in Trump's first impeachment trial and has also defended some 51 people who co-signed the Hunter Biden letter in 2019. Trump called him a sleazeball, criticizing some anti-Trump tweets he posted 2 years earlier. He too is uneasy about what is to come. Okay, you guys are kind of being freaking crazy because, again, unless you were like super duper fucking antagonizing him on a personal level, if you just called him like a jackass 2 years ago or made some like offhand comments, I doubt that you're important enough that he actually go after you. And again, unless you like really did some illegal shady shit, I think that you're being a little bit unreasonable. We're certainly concerned that the new White House will make it difficult for us to represent federal employees fairly, meaning that they would not retaliate against our clients, he said. There is no doubt that if they want it, they would make our lives very difficult in interfering with everyone's law practices by saying they're not going to respond to the things we do. As a spokesperson for Trump's campaign did not respond to a request for a comment. If Trump or his political appointees were to pursue Trump's retribution, career prosecutors might not find it easy to bring such cases, nor might they be willing to go along? John Bolton, Trump's former national security advisor, who wrote a book disparaging Trump's methods, said in an interview, I assume there is a long retribution list and I'm on it. He sketched out what might happen hypothetically. Trump ordered the Justice Department to open an investigation into a political foe that had no legal basis. I honestly do hope that Trump doesn't actually pursue any of this, just because we got other things like inflation to worry about, and going after personal vendettas is just not worth it. And I feel like, and this is me projecting on Trump, I feel like after going through the ringer for 4 years of legal, a lot of fucking lawsuits and legal bullshit, that I just don't want to even fucking bother with the courts. I wouldn't even want to bother. I'd be like, I'm going to just let bygones be bygones. Unless you really, again, did something massively illegal, I might just be willing to pass legislation to make what you did difficult or impossible, but I might not go after personal retribution just because I don't I'd be fucking drained. I'd be like, I don't want to fucking excuse my language, don't want to mess around with the courts anymore, or have to do 10 5-year lawsuits against it. It's a waste of money, time, energy. We have real issues like inflations, housing crisis, few of other things, big issues. And it's I can't support going after personal retribution on a massive scale, because there's just too many other real issues that actually matter more. You know what I'm saying? Does the career prosecutor say, I'm not going to do that? Do they fire him? Does he resign? What does that become? Public. 15 seconds later is the answer to that. And then we have a crisis. Trump appointments may offer the earliest clues as to how he will use the government's vast power. Will he fill posts with loyalists who only want to please him and indulge his instinct, or will he predict people for whom the rule of law remains a goalpost or a guidepost? At least one Democrat was hardened by Trump's selection of Susie Wiles, daughter of the late NFL football announcer Pat Summerall, in his White House chief of staff, or as his White House chief of staff. She's a brilliant, tough, strategical Representative Jarrett Mowal, whatever your last name is, Democrat from Florida, I believe, wrote on X. She will serve the country well. For now, others who have reason to fear Trump's return are watching and waiting to see what happens. Okay, not gonna pronounce your name. Just I'll absolutely butcher it. A former U.S. Capitol Police sergeant who was assaulted by Trump supporters on Jan 6 and later testified before the Lighthouse Committee investigating the riot said, "Yes, I have been vigilant. I have a family to take care of." Not gonna pronounce your last name. Sorry, bro. Sustained injuries on Jan 6 attack that forced him to retire in 2020. He campaigned for Democrat Kamala Harris in the presidential race and had been vocal about what he sees as Trump's failings as his supporters flooded the Capitol that day and interfered with the transfer of power. Not going to pronounce your last name, said that they cannot erase what I did. We fought his mob. Calm down, bro. Alright, that appears to be the article. Alright, guys. Maybe I'll read another one tomorrow.